Okay, everybody, we're going to get started. Nice crowd today. That's obviously has something to do with our presenter. So this is another installment of the Sabato Culturale series. Thank you for help from the audience. The brainchild of Dominic Candeloro. Today our presenter is Carlo Vaniglia. Carlo was born in Sicily, came here as a young child to Chicago. You're going to learn all more about that. What he does, he is the president of Santa Fara of Cinisi. It's a club. They own a building. He is the president of COMITES. And COMITES is an elected group of Italian citizens in the Council General's district, which the Chicago Council General has 11 states under its jurisdiction. So the Italian citizens that can vote, voted this group, which is basically means the Committee of Italians Living Abroad. And he's the president of that. He is the founder of the Festa della Repubblica, which is celebrated, thank you, which is celebrated at Pompey Church in the Taylor Street area. I believe this year will be, I believe this year will be year 18. Year 18. So to let you understand, he just decided this is something we should do. It's like Italian National Day, and he started it up. It's been going for 18 years, not easy to run. I mean, he's basically by himself. He's putting in the effort, he's putting in the money, he's putting in the everything. And the real beauty of that day is there are other Festa della Repubblica events, but I always tell people the other event that happens in Chicago, you need an invite. His Festa della Repubblica, anybody can go. It's open to the public. It's open to everybody. He encourages people to come. We have a procession on the streets of Taylor Street. It's a wonderful day. You know, I was thinking about this morning. Lots of people are proud. Everybody. We're all proud. A lot of people are proud. But where I think very few reach a level, and he's one of them, is he respects his heritage. And what I mean by that is he puts in the effort to his heritage. He learns about his heritage. He promotes his heritage. And like his heritage is in his soul. And that it really is the truth. And, you know, in Italian si può dire che lui è un vero italiano. È vero? Okay. So, without further ado, I give you my friend, Carlo Vaniglia.
Thank you, Dominic, for inviting me here. At first, I didn't know if I should accept it because I don't know what I could talk about. Well, I'll try. Anyway, I want to thank Frank too, because Frank's always been helping me out with everything, and we try to do whatever we could. And it's always a little hard because we're just two regular guys. You know, we got no political friends or big shot friends, you know, so we got to try to do whatever we could. But before we start, I just want to let everybody know that our club, Santa Fara is having a fundraiser for the cyclone that in Sicily. We decided to do our part, and it's going to be on Saturday, April 25th at 6:30 at our clubhouse, which is at 7524 West Addison. There's a $30 donations. We're going to have food, and all the proceeds go to help relieve this. So, as I told my members, you know, our organizations started off years ago to help the immigrants that were here. They're mutual aid societies, you know. Now they've become dinner dances, parties, and this. Every once in a while we have a mass, you know, so these are things that we really have to support. And for me, I could say I have more fun and enjoy doing these stuff more than just a regular party, because we're doing something. You know, so everybody's invited to let me know or get a hold of me or whatever, or through whatever, Facebook, whoever knows my number, but they know Frank, Dominic, so everybody's invited. So where do I start? I was born in Italy, in a town called Alcamo, which is in the province of Trapani. And it's in western Sicily. And I came here when I was 4 years old. And I think we're kind of like, when I got on Taylor Street, I think we were like the last ones to come on a ship. Everybody else after that came on a plane, you know? And I go to my father, how come we came on a ship? He goes, because when I was ready to make the tickets for over here, there was a plane crash in northern Italy or something, you know? And he goes like, we're gonna go by ship, you know? So we decided to come by boat. And like I said, I was 4 years old, and I could say that I remember almost everything, and I can't figure out how I remember everything because I was 4 years old when we got here. My sister was 8, and she doesn't know half of the stuff that I remember. So maybe, you know, we're all different. Maybe that's why I like history. And my sister, which was way smarter than me, doesn't really care about history, and she doesn't remember this or that. And when I was growing up then, I'm like, did this really happen? Or am I just dreaming about it? So I used to put myself to the test. And I'd go to my parents, hey, when you were in Italy, did this and that, did that really take place? Or did I just make it up in my head? And they were like, no, that was true. You go, Dale, how do you remember? I don't know, but I remember. Yeah. So when we came here, we got here in August 1960. And we docked in New York. My grandfather's brother, who had come in the 1920s, he came and picked us up in New York. And the first thing he said when we got off the ship, he's like, you guys don't look like immigrants, you just look like tourists, you know? And which is true, because when he came, it was the first wave of Italian immigrants that were completely different than after the war, okay? So we had new suitcases, we had new clothes, and this, you know? And then we stayed in New York for a couple of days and lived in Brooklyn, and then we took the train to Chicago. When we came to Chicago, I remember that day my uncle lived on Taylor and May, right in the corner, and it was like still being in Italy. Everybody was talking Italian, you know, you didn't really notice, you know, the difference and stuff, you know? But then as I started school, Italy started, how do you say, I was beginning to notice, and I was missing Italy. And I was missing Italy because I left all my cousins, all my friends, cousins, relatives, and here we only had 2 cousins that I didn't even know, you know, that were here. So that's when it started to really get into my Italian culture, and I never forgot it since then. Yeah, I never forgot it, and it's always been inside of me. I was always trying to recreate Italy here, okay, which is kind of hard, but you know, you try to do it, and that's why then, as time went on, I got involved with all these different things. You know? And when we came here, another thing is that I started at Jackson School, and Jackson School, excuse me, was a public school, and by that time it had was a lot of Black and Mexican kids at school. So when we got there, I realized that all the kids looked poor compared to us, and I'm like, wait a minute, we're the immigrants, but they got patches on their pants, old shoes, and we didn't, and we were immigrants. So, you know, it was weird to me, you know, because I'm like, we left Italy, and I'm seeing more poorer kids here than when we were in Italy. You know, so those are things that stick to my head. But then after I transferred to Our Lady of Pompeii, and Our Lady of Pompeii was like 99.9% Italian. As a matter of fact, one of our schoolmates is right over there, Teresa. As a matter of fact, her aunt was my 4th grade nun. You know? And when I told her that she smacked me in the head, she doesn't believe it, but she did.
Non è vero.
I'm the one who got the heading, Teresa. But then when I realized in school at Pompeii, is that everybody was Italian. But not that many spoke Italian. They're basically Italian Americans. a lot of them were Italian Americans, and they really didn't know where they came from. You know, they were like, I'm Napolitan. Okay, yeah, where? Napolitan. Yeah. You know, you didn't come from the whole town, right? So I realized, you know, it's like, they don't really know where they come from. It's like a generic Italian. You know, I want to know not only where I come from, I even want to know the address of my house. Okay? And that really bothered me, because a lot of them didn't speak Italian. And I'll be honest with you, the only people who called me greaseballs were Italian Americans.
Whoa.
I mean, blacks didn't, they didn't even know what it was, you know. Nobody else, but they did, you know. And I used to get so aggravated. Because, you know, when I got here, like I said, Taylor Street, I'm from Sicily. Taylor Street had a lot of Napolitans, all from Società. I think I even started speaking Napolitan. And, you know, I had these older people come, you know, they would speak to me in the language, in the dialect. And they're like, hey, Vaniglia, I votato un ciuccio. First of all, we call it shake in Sicily. It's not uchumishu, okay? Second of all, I didn't come from a mountain town. My father had a Vespa. We had a radio. We had record players. We had a house. You know, and I realized they were still stuck in an Italy that they really didn't understand. You know, and those are the things that made me want to maybe let Italian Americans know more about. Okay, but how do you do it? You know, one person, how do you do it? But it's always been in me to get the Italian Americans, second, third, fourth generations, to get to know Italy a little bit better. Not just be a generic Italian, like, what's your town?
Right.
And I notice that is now happening with a lot of these performers. Now that there's these Facebook stuff. And they're like, oh, do you know Robert De Niro's parents came from this town? All of a sudden, you know, before they were just Italian. And I always just say, like, why don't they say where they're from? Okay? They never did. Frank Capra was the only one that I found out years ago that was from a town called Bisacquino in Sicily. But like Frank Sinatra, they were saying, whatever, Dean Martin, whatever. They never said what part of Italy. And it's like, how could you not know this? You know, so I started to look it up. Basically Sicilian, because I'm around there, you know? But I mean, looking up everybody. And I'm like, because is anybody from my town that's famous? You know, and you always want to know. It's like, maybe one day, you know, Frank Sinatra was. So I find out that Frank Zappa was from a town right by my house, Partinico. Right? And Sonny Bono was from Montelepre. Okay, but there's all towns by me. I contacted a friend of mine who's she's a TV announcer in Sicily, and I said, Loredana, I said, do you know that your town, you know, besides being famous for the Salvatore Giuliano, the bandit, okay, Sonny Bono's parents come from there. They're like, really? I said, yeah. I said, why don't you guys do something first? It's not my town, it's your town. You know everybody there. I'm living over here. I go, would that be something nice to have an honorary name, a plaque, or whatever? Look into it, you know? If they did, I don't know. You know, but then I gave them the whatever you could, you know? So it's nice to know that all of a sudden, you know, you see Sonny Bono, who I just thought was Cher's husband, you know, or whatever, and all of a sudden then, you know, you pinned it down to Montelepre, right? And then if I wanted to, but you could find out the actual birthplace of the parents, you know, because those are immigrant stories, you know, they didn't just become American and that's it. They have that. So I'm glad to see that now all of a sudden they're rediscovering their roots. Okay, which I thought people should have done that years ago. Yeah. You know, so like I said, these are the things that have always steadied me. And like I said, maybe I wanted to make Italian Americans more Italian. Yeah. You know? And because I could see it wasn't really their fault. It's because of what went on, you know, because of the war, because of the crime, the mafia, and all those stuff are what made us like, uh-oh, let's be quiet, you know? Because it's like we started evolving and something happened. We started climbing the stair, boom, another thing happened, you know? It's like, Jesus, first we're poor Dagos, then we're criminals, then we're fascist, then, you know, we started getting a little bit, then after the war, you know, all of a sudden Italy became La Dolce Vita, right? You know, it's Sweet Life, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Gucci, Sophia Loren, Gino Lollobrigida. Then The Godfather comes out, boom, back to the bottom. You know, it's like, geez, we're trying to climb up, and we're back at the bottom. And that's how I feel. I've never really felt being discriminated as an Italian. Okay, I felt people being jealous of us being Italian, okay? Because there's none to discriminate about us. I believe we're the best people in the world. I mean, I was yesterday, I was at this Palestinian cigarette shop, which I go all the time, I smoke, right? And I'm always talking to these Palestinians, right? And they're like, what does Italy think about the war, you know? What side? I go, in Italy. I go, you gotta understand, in Italy right now, they don't even know there's a war going on. I go, our culture, everybody's at a cafe, at a restaurant, at 2 in the morning. They don't even know that there's probably a war going on. I go, we don't care. We just wanna have a good time. That's what our culture is, okay? We don't hate. We hate, you know, we get along with everybody, you know? And people think that like Italian aren't racist. We're the least racist people in the world. Because if we like you, we like you. If you're nice to me, we'll do anything for you, you know? And if you're bad to me, I don't care if you're my brother, I'm not gonna talk to you for 30 years. And you know, that's basically really the way we are. So a lot of people really, I don't think really understand the way we are. You know, so, and that's why I like to fight for what's ours, because our culture is part of American culture now, okay? So it's not like we just got here the other day. You know, a lot of things that Americans do and Americans like, it's because of us, you know. Without our culture, you think about it, you know, besides Columbus, forget about, you know, so long ago, okay? But I mean, then you got, you know, Enrico Fermi, who split the atom, you know? And then in pop culture, think about it. If there was all these singers, I mean, Frankie Avalon and Ed Funicello, like the symbol of the American youth, they were Italian.
Yeah.
It's not like they were from Mississippi, you know? They were Italian. And I remember thinking that, like, all these famous people, all these all-Americans, you know, you think of Dion, you think of this, doo-wop. Okay, you think of all this, and like, wait. Are we gonna get any, how do you call it, praise? Because we added this to, you know, to American culture. You know, Joe DiMaggio in sports, you know, all this stuff. So we're such a big part of American culture that people really don't realize it, you know, because we don't, we don't promote it, you know, we don't. And I think it's time that we do now and let people respect who we are. And like I say, I take this stance because of the Columbus thing. You know, you could be for it, you could be against it. But don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do, you know? You know, if you like the Rolling Stones and I like the Beatles, it's not, I'm sorry, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that even nowadays, we're an easy target, okay? So we're an easy target, and people used to say about Columbus, and I tell them, listen, you know what it is with Columbus? You have Columbus is an easy target of people who are against the American government. They don't want to go against the presidents or our founding fathers, so they pick the easiest guy. Let's pick out Columbus. You know, and that's how I see that part there. You know, so I try to do whatever I could. Now, as for the organizations I belong to, I'm the president of Santa Fara di Cinisi. Cinisi is a town, the province of Palermo, which is my mother's hometown. And it's right where the Palermo airport is located.
Oh, brilliant. Our families are,
From Cinisi?
yeah,
Huh, where's that?
all my grandparents and my dad.
Oh, really? As a matter of fact, being that I was born in Alcamo, which is 20 minutes away from Cinisi, when I became president, they were like, hey, you're not even from there. How come you're the president? And I'm like, and it's like, you gotta be kidding me. We have a hard time finding members. Right? And now I'm from 20 minutes away, and my mother's from there, my grandparents are from there, I mean, my whole family's from there, right? And I go, let me explain something to you first of all. I was born in Alcamo, my relatives, I got there, it's 20 minutes away. I go, how far back could you go to Cinisi? He goes, what do you mean? Your family, how far back? He goes, I don't know. I said, well, let me explain to you. I could go back to 1502. Okay, my 12th great grandfather was called Lorenzo da Labate. I go, so now, is that good enough for you, or should, Yeah. But I mean, that's just the way us Italians are, who was busting my chops, So, I took that position, now it's been 12 years, and I can't even quit, right? But I took that, and I didn't really want to at first, because they said, why don't you become president? I'm like, well, I live on the south side, the clubhouse is up north,
Yeah.
But then I took it, and I figured like, okay, it's good to promote, to keep the ties open between our villages, okay? Because you lose that, then you lose everything, okay? And so I try to keep, like I said, communications open and whatever. And it's worked out pretty good, especially these clubs, we only work with whatever we make on a dinner dance. A couple of times we have some parties. That's the only way we could pay, because we got a building we got to support too. And we have these events there without the building, And so don't think that, these dinner dances are to make money. They're not. They're just to, and you don't really make that much money. And you have them to, like that, people know you're still around. Because if you don't have those, they don't know. And whatever we make there, we pay the bills, we do this, and we organize stuff, And the first thing I did as president, I'm surprised you didn't throw me out, because we've got just a certain amount of money. Right? I'm like, you know what? Our organization started on Taylor Street, I said, and originally. But the second generation that came after the war, they were all up on the north side, so a lot of them didn't even know. I said, I researched it, and our clubhouse used to be on Taylor and Halsted years and years ago. And one time I met a gentleman that goes, my mother started this on Taylor Street. I didn't even know who this guy was, Excuse me. I didn't even know who this guy was. So I said, gotta give me more information. So I got the information, I told my members. I go, on Taylor Street, a saint walked those streets, which was Mother Cabrini. I go, Mother Cabrini Hospital was there, my brother was born there, my mother worked there, and all this stuff. I go, Mother Cabrini helped so many immigrants. I go, the building where she was at, because I was there when they sold the building, it was sold. I go, I think we should raise money to put a plaque in honor of Mother Cabrini for all she did for the whole neighborhood. I said, and I was doing other research, and on Taylor Street back in those days, it was about 35, 40 different patron saint societies and clubs. And I'm like, nobody's ever done anything. If anything, let us do it. We get the honor of doing it, And they're like, well, how much you looking for? I go, well, I said, it's about $7,000. I'm surprised they didn't kill me, Because, it was a bronze plaque that we had to have made. I never even made one. I don't know. I had to call up places and make matters worse, that when I had it all done, I misspelled Francis. Oh. And I went to Italy, right? And I told somebody, I'm gonna go to Italy, everything's set, because it was supposed to be back in October, because we were gonna dedicate it in October. And the guy from my club goes, Carlo, got a problem. Because you spelled Francis wrong. Francis wrong. Well, Francis. No, there's the masculine and feminine.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. You gotta be kidding me, So I'm like, maybe nobody will notice. I'm like, somebody's gonna notice. So it cost me another $300. I had to tell my members, I misspelled Francis. Another $300. But anyway, they okayed it. We got it, and I had my friend in Italy. he was gonna do a documentary on our club. I go, and so I had to have her come here, and when we dedicated that plaque, you know, so we dedicated that, did the plaque, fixed the fences and everything, you know, and, you know, I was very proud of that, you know.
Was it hard to get permission from that building to put the plaque on?
Well, you know, every time you do something, you always say like, hey, no, we'll just do that. All of a sudden, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta do this. Well, I had to get, yeah, I figured, I'd just hang it up, you know, who's gonna know that? But I had to do a condo association.
Is that Assumption School? Is the plaque on the Assumption School that was a condo association now?
No,
Or was it the hospital?
The old hospital. which is
Columbus, was it?
no, Mother Cabrini has
Cabrini.
one.
There's two.
And Lytle and Cabrini.
See, Cabrini, there was the original Cabrini,
Oh.
and then she had that one on Taylor, on Racine Street built, that was called the Columbus Extension
Oh,
Hospital,
I see, okay.
you know? And she was there when it was being built, so we did that on the 100th anniversary, we put that up there. But as Frankie, I had to get an okay from the condo association. So I put in a request, and then they said you could do it, and we did it. You know, so there was that with my regular club. Then I was part of, I still am, of a Sicilian group, which is all the presidents of the Sicilian clubs. We have a group called ARSA, which is the Associazione Regionale Siciliana in America. So I figured, well, you know, if I gotta do things just for our hometown, I do it as president of Santa Fara. If I gotta do something that's involves the whole Sicilian community, I'll do it through ARSA. And then they had asked me to be a member of COMITES years ago, about 2006 or something. I didn't even know what they were. Okay, I knew it was a government organization. It was just started by the Italian government. I didn't know what it was. And I said, no, I don't want to do it. They go, you gotta do it. It's like 12 people, right? That get elected from the citizens. And I'm like, and as a matter of fact, it was, I don't know if anybody remembers Angelo Liberate. He's the one who called me. He goes, I said, Angelo, I go, it's not for me. I don't really know then what to do, you know? And he goes, you gotta do it. I go, there's so many other people. He goes, I you know, and he's like, I go, I'm not, whatever. He goes, you're the most Italian person I know. I'm like, oh man, so now he compliments me, right? I'm like, Jesus. So I'm like, okay. Right? And I'm going to my wife, I don't want to do this. I just don't know how to say no to people. You know? I don't want to do this. She goes, why? I go, because I don't know what the hell we're going to do. I don't know what we're supposed to do. If somebody tells me, you know, well, you know, as president of COMITES, you got to, you know, come to Casa Italia and clean the windows every week. I said, but I really don't know what's going on. This is government, this, that. You know, and then everything in Italian. I speak Italian, I can read Italian, write Italian. But when you get these government things,
That's a whole other.
you need a lawyer.
Yeah.
And they only ask you for a piece of paper, you know, because it's completely different. I go, because I gotta do it. So I did, I was a candidate. I go to my wife, I don't wanna win. I'm the only person who's in an election that doesn't wanna win. You know? She goes, why? I go, I don't want it, because I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. So I made sure I didn't tell nobody. I didn't want nobody to vote for me. Okay? Right, so then it's like a month before the elections, and I'm thinking, I'm like, I don't want to win. I'm just gonna do nothing. I go, but I said, at the same time, I don't want to be the only person out in the world that never got one vote. I mean, I want to lose, but at least with a couple of votes. You know, not complete. I don't want to be going on record that the only person who got 0 votes ever is Carlo Vaniglia. So I'm like, now I gotta try to get some votes, but not enough votes, okay, to win. It's like, why do I put myself in these situations? You know. So anyway, I lost.
Oh.
I lost, but I did get votes, and I'm like, who the hell are these people that voted for me? I only just told my wife, my daughters, and my cousins. That was it. I didn't tell anybody else. But other than that, I lost, and I was so happy. But then the next election came back, and they asked me again. I said, okay, and that was then vice president. Because then I figured, you know what? As COMITES, I'm going to learn a little bit more. to be, I got president of our hometown and the regional. So with COMITES, it's more all of Italy. So if I want to do something, celebrating something in Piedmont, I don't have to do it through my club in Cinisi, you know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell, what's Cinisi what's Piedmont got to do with Cinisi? So that's why then I took on that role, and it's a good role, but if you got no money, if there's no money, it's hard to really organize a lot of stuff, and the Italian government, they give all this stuff out, they do all these stuff, but when it comes down to the money, it's like all of a sudden, you don't have enough funds to do whatever you want to do, and it's kind of hard. So a lot of stuff, they're like, you guys have to have fundraisers. I'm like, how many fundraisers could we have?
Yeah.
And the Italian community lives off of fundraisers. Okay, so I would think like the Italian government should help us more. I mean, I've always said that. And the other reason also about COMITES that I decided to take the role, and then I was elected president the next elections, is because I always thought that the Italian community, we should be closer to the Italian consulate office, okay? Italian consulate is not here for the last years. Back up to the 60s and 70s, you had immigration. You had immigration coming, so their offices were being utilized, But as the immigration stopped, they became more like, this is a nice vacation, nice job over here. They're not like in Zambia or anything. They're in Chicago, what's going on, basically businesses and whatever. And I saw that the Consul General's office was going away from the community. They probably didn't know.
Is that just in this area? Because I follow all the other consulates throughout the United States and throughout Canada and South America. And they're all very connected with their communities. They participate in all the events. They put events together, especially with COMITES.
Well,
Especially like out east. They're like always having events and they're always connected.
Lisa, you're 100% right, because that's why.
They're closer together than East Coast cities.
No, but I'm saying you have to be part of the community in order to
Sure.
promote the community, and I see this distance, where you can't get a hold of anybody, they don't reply to any communication. It's like they're they might as well be in Venus because they're not among the community in Chicago
You're right.
or any other Midwestern states.
Yeah, but you're right, you're 100% right, and that's what my thinking was. Okay, it got to the point where you didn't even know who the Consul General was anymore. Where before they would always attend events and whatever, but then it got, whatever it was, and people didn't care. And I really started thinking about this because there was a Consul General, 5 Consul Generals ago, that he left, and he had he was interviewed at the Sun-Times, and sometimes he kind of talked bad about us. Not bad, whatever, but he was saying that the Italian Americans in Chicago don't really know the culture, they don't really read this, they don't even speak the language. We're nobody, And I think it was, I don't want to give a name, but it was Consul General from way back. So we're at a meeting at our suffragist Sicily, and I didn't even see this article, and the president brought it up. He goes, hey, did you guys see the article? He goes, no. He goes, the Consul General who just left, he said this, and that. And everybody's over there like, that piece of crap, this and that, how dare him, and this and that. And I go, what are you guys mad about? He goes, look what he wrote. I go, well, I said, nobody ever has anything to do with him, okay? Nobody ever has anything to do with him, okay? I'm like, we're not even close. I go, why do you think that a couple of stuff that I do, I have in common? When we do the Festa della Repubblica, when I started, okay, you gotta come. Wait a minute, you're the Consul General and you're not coming to the Festa della Repubblica? Because I got one Consul General, I really let him have it years ago, okay? Because, hey, I'm not just a Garibaldi, okay? I'm doing this out of my pocket. And like Frank said, I started Festa della Repubblica because I remember reading Fra Noi. I'm like, how come I don't know about this?
Yeah.
Am I not Italian enough? Consul General? I mean, what do I gotta do? dress up in a flag, I don't know, you know what I mean? And then who are these people who aren't even Italians there, right? I took that as an insult. Okay, I took that as an insult. I'm like, I gotta do something. So I started Festa della Repubblica for that reason. And I'm like, I wanna do it, but for all the nobodies like me. Okay, that's what I want to do, for us. Okay, and I'm not gonna have a stupid event in a hall that you're probably gonna pay or whatever, like other people do. I want to have it in the street.
Yeah.
I decided I had to wrap up a bunch of things together, positives. One, Taylor Street. Well, I grew up on Taylor Street, but it was the point of entry for many Italians. Okay, whatever neighborhood you are, it was the point of entry. Train stations were there. That was, you know, right? Then we still have Our Lady of Pompeii Church. You know, so that means a lot too. It's still an Italian parish, whatever. And then there were the monuments. Besides Columbus, we also had Garibaldi, right? And I'm like, and then the other thing was, there used to be a parade or a procession down Taylor Street every weekend when I was a kid. Now there's not even
Definitely.
one, okay? So I added all these things together. We helped the church, the neighborhood, the this, the that. And then, the first year I didn't have it down the main street, I had it down the side streets.
Right.
And I go, wait a minute, what do we gotta hide, you know? Like, what, are we robbing a bank? I said, I'm gonna have it down, I want Taylor Street closed down. Well, then you gotta get a permit. Well, get a permit. So I got a permit and it's down Taylor Street. Now people sometimes go like, why don't you just, no, we're not robbing a bank. I want visibility. I want people to see who don't know, because there's a lot of students and foreigners there, you know? You know, you might not think it's Little Italy, but, okay, we're still here, you know? And even if we're the minority, okay, our history will always be here. You can't erase it. And that was the reason that I did it, and it's been going okay. And the other reason was, I don't want to say I'm Nostradamus or anything, but I remember seeing that there was problems with Columbus years and years ago, and I figured, you know, one of these days maybe we're gonna have to fall back on getting another holiday. I hope that doesn't happen, but you know what I mean? But that was another thought of mine. And the other reason too, I forgot to mention, is to teach Italian Americans Italian history, okay? Because I remember talking to a lot of the Italian Americans I know. What are you doing for Cinco de Mayo? Oh, Cinco de Mayo, you know? They all knew Cinco de Mayo, but they didn't know June 2nd. You know, so also an education to let them know what it is, because a lot didn't. And like I said, these Italian Americans that don't know this stuff, I don't blame them. I don't blame them. I blame what happened in the past, that they had to hide their history.
It's a fun event for sure.
But yeah, going back to your thing about it, that's the thing. So I told everybody, you have to invite them to all your events. I don't care if they're going like, oh my God, you guys are killing me. Hey, you're making $30,000 a month. I think you can come to our event, you know? And anything I do, and it's not just to have the Consul General there, but like I told the Consul General, these people are Italian citizens. You represent these people at this dinner dance, at this event. That's your job, you know?
You're right.
Okay, and the more that everybody does that, and it seems like if anybody notices that more people are having a Consul General at their events, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I was saying this to everybody for years and years and years. They're not here on vacation. If they don't know you, if they don't know who you are, okay, I want to make sure they know who we are, okay, and that's what I did. And I think that's the way it should be, and that's why in the East Coast, they're close. Because I talked to the presidents of COMITES from the East Coast, you know, because we meet every year, we meet together, and I could see that in Chicago, we're way behind them. We're way behind them in a lot of things, okay, so that's that, you know.
The other issue is they're teaching the wrong history
Right.
to the young people. And then they think this is the way it was, and that's wrong. I mean, they're, on Columbus, they're teaching them the wrong things about it.
Well, that's for sure.
I know that's,
Yep.
you know, that's a touchy subject, but
Carlo, I want to
publicly invite you to join with the Casa Italia in sponsoring anything that you want on our premises at no cost. But we don't give food and drink away free,
I think,
except at Sabato Culturale.
Dominic, I think as part of Sabato Culturale, you should start incorporating some historical about, like what you just said about
Right.
being in Italy and famous people from their region, and do represent a region, a different, highlight a different region on a different day, and bring people in, hopefully young people who wanna learn about their heritage.
Yeah.
I've been working my off for the last year to get events going. Anybody who wants to join me, anybody who has an idea for an event on a Saturday morning or any other time of the week here at Casa Italia, to have just people get together, no big deal, but we're exchanging ideas, exchanging our experiences, as Carlo is doing today. We're open to it. That's what we're here for. And I think that's what most Italian American organizations should be here for. Although we end up doing social events and eating and drinking. Now, we don't drink that much, but we do a lot of eating. And we're trying to throw in some culture, some history, something about the history of Italians in America. We don't know. We're going into a horrible period now where the cell phone dominates everything. That's our culture. And it's more important than language, it's more important than where you were born or anything else. So if we're going to maintain Italian identity in the future, we've got to do something, and it won't just happen. We've got to plan it. We've got to put money into it. We've got to be very careful and deliberative about what we do. We're at risk of dying out.
That's true.
No.
Scary.
Well, you know, Dominic, I've always told everybody, our community is on life support. Okay?
Life support, okay.
You're right,
Support.
our heritages.
Yeah, and you know, everything changes, everything, the world moves forward. And if you don't know the history, it's gonna be lost. So you need things to preserve that history. You know, that's why one of the fights that we were having with the Columbus statue, what it was about, it's not about a metal statue, it's that statue was brought to that neighborhood, because that neighborhood, I was there when they were building that park there, okay? And when the day was dedicated, we were at school. You know, that's the symbol of Little Italy. That was the symbol. Now, you know, if Mussolini was there, that's still the symbol, whatever it is, you know, don't take away our symbol, you know, so when you get these things taken away, you start losing stuff, okay? You start losing stuff, so I'll fight for anything that's Italian, you know?
I just want to say something. If it wasn't for, not to bring up Columbus again, but if it wasn't for you in July of 2020, the educator that you are, your brain is so full of information. I had no idea that Columbus's Santa Maria was only 70 feet long with only a crew of 40. And just that, to sail from Spain in a 70-foot wooden boat to end up on Hispaniola is a feat in itself. And for them to demonize him, that a crew of 40 killed 3,000 Indians, give me a break. And the other two things you educated me on, which I had no idea, was the lynching of 11 Sicilians, 1891 in New Orleans, had no clue, and the Cherry Hill mine disaster, which was fabulous on the tour, to know that all those poor men, you know, got burned alive. It was, had no clue whatsoever. Just those three things was mind-boggling.
Like he said, they don't teach stuff like that in school. They have stopped teaching stuff like that. just like, you know, during the war, while the Italians' children were fighting the war for Americans, the parents were being put in concentration camps. Nobody talks about the concentration camps, which still makes me boil. And Carlo knows what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what, listen, I had a big argument with my daughter at school, in high school. You know, and I taught that history teacher that was there, I let her have it. Cause my daughter knew about this, you know? And, this teacher in her, senior year was saying they never happened, you know, this, and that. I'm like,
Oh, mamma mia.
but I'm talking about 20 years, not 15 years ago, okay? And I actually had the DVD, La Storia Segreta, whatever, and, you know? So I told my daughter, make an appointment with her, the history department, and everything, I'll go there, and I threw it, I read it in front of her face. I go,
Good.
next time, I said, I'm gonna tell you one thing. She was like my age. I said, next time, if you ever, I said, no, I said, evidently, I said, you must have been smoking a joint in your history class.
Was she Italian? Was she Italian?
No,
Okay,
you know?
figures.
I go, because you yelled at my daughter in front of the class when she said, I heard that there was also Germans and Italians in camps. And she yelled at her, you know? Oh yeah, and she's like, you gotta, cause it started, this wasn't the end of it, it started in October with Columbus, and I had it with her for the whole year, so we gotta say the whole story, okay? So I was already on her prep list, you know? But now I made sure, cause what I did is I told my daughter in the history, I go, speak up, don't argue with your teacher. I said, you'll probably get better grades because you're gonna start a debate. Well, I was wrong. She hated my daughter. And she would throw papers at her.
Oh my God.
Oh
She
yeah,
should
that's
have
why,
been
that's why when I went there, and then, at the end with La Storia Segreta, even the history teacher was, the history, head of history goes, she's a tough one. I go, not with me, not with me, okay? I go, I had my daughter do this, and that for that reason. I thought she'd get better grades because she's debating, okay? But there's no debate with her, okay? And I go, and I'm gonna tell you another thing. She has threatened not to promote my daughter graduate if she don't get this test all wrong. So I'm gonna tell you right now, my daughter don't graduate, you got a problem on your hands. I said, you will have a problem. I go, no, don't worry. You know, she graduated, you know, but you have to fight these people, okay? And I didn't tell my daughter though, like, oh, you're crazy. No, debate, you know. That's what I always would tell her, debate it, and you know. And as a matter of fact, my younger daughter, the other day, we were just talking about stuff like that, you know? And I'm trying to, she's younger, she's 25, but that first one was my older daughter. And we got into the discussion of Columbus. I go, do you know that, because you were saying, they said Columbus got lost. I go, Columbus didn't get lost, you know? I mean, I'm trying to explain, because that's, you know, those little things are what aggravates you, okay? You're exploring, okay? You get lost is if, you know, I'm gonna go to the north side, but I'm gonna turn south, okay? No, I mean, it's just these stupid things that I don't even wanna get into now, because now it's like, you know what, you're at a different intelligence level than me, you know, you can talk and nitpick about that. But I told my daughter, I go, you know one thing? I go, other than Jesus and Muhammad, Columbus is the third most popular figure in the world, if you think about it. You know, if you almost think about it, you know that everybody in the world knows, okay? The first two are religious, everybody knows because they got the followers, but Columbus is right up there. I mean, there's something you can't read. I go, but do you know, think about this, I go, my daughter, when people go like, he was gonna go to the east, okay? And they make fun and, you know, he ran into whatever, so he got lost. That's not lost. I go, but think about this, if North America and South America never was never here, and there was, he could go to China from whatever, or India through there, he would have never made it. He would have died. Because there's no way those ships could have made that gotten that far, and there's no way that, excuse me, and there's no way that they would have enough food. You know, so we would never even know who Columbus was about stuff like that. You know, so history is really, you gotta really think about it.
I have to, as a historian of World War II and Italians in World War II, you used the word concentration camp earlier. There were some Italians, mainly from California, and mainly Italians who were personnel from ships that happened to be at shore when war was declared, that ended up in relocation centers. But they were not put into the so-called relocation centers in the way that the Japanese were on the West Coast. It was especially bad on the West Coast. Italians who had not applied for citizenship were classified as enemy aliens, and they had to register at the post office, and there were some restrictions on their travel. They couldn't own a shortwave radio or a flashlight or a gun, or there are other restrictions on them. In California, it was especially bad because General DeWitt was in charge of the situation. And he was very narrow in what he did against Italians. And it was La Storia Segreta, the story that Italians themselves did not want to repeat to their children because they were ashamed of what happened to him during the war. But in the rest of the country, especially where the Italian population was higher, the politicians were more sensitive to Italian Americans. That wasn't the case. And then especially after the declaration of war and the first call-ups of young men, the government realized that they needed Italian American young people, and they catered to that situation, and the restrictions on the enemy alien status was diminished significantly. Yeah, we didn't get treated very well during World War II, but our country was at war. What was a nation to do with aliens who were not yet citizens and blah, blah, blah. So there's something to be said on both sides, except for in California where they really, General DeWitt really blasted the hell out of the Italians.
Speaking of history, what Carlo was talking about with that issue, think about this. During World War II, the period you're talking about, two of the biggest cities, East Coast, West Coast, New York and San Francisco, had Italian mayors, LaGuardia and Angelo Rossi.
Right.
This was during World War II, and they were the two most powerful politicians in the country.
Rossi was ruined by
because of that.
by the DeWitt.
But think about that. Italian Americans were in positions of power.
So,
Nobody knows that.
The really interesting part about it is that Italian American young people, maybe 1 million of them served, were in service for, say, 30 months. They got Americanized, for better, for worse, depending on how you look at it. And when they got out of the service, they got the GI Bill, which was a nice boost up into the middle class. And so, World War II had a really big impact on Italian Americans. And I think, next to the immigration itself, the shock of that, the impact of World War II was the second biggest adjustment that Italians had to make. And in a lot of ways, it was in a positive direction. But
And the Godfather.
yeah, don't mind me.
That's true. But no, there's another part where a lot of people don't know. Because I was, Italy was at war with the United States. The Italians didn't want to be at war with the United States. The Italians were, even the United States, the president type loved Mussolini. Mussolini made the mistakes, okay? But the Italians didn't want to be in the war. What a lot of people don't understand is, anybody ever hear of Operation Gladio? Yeah?
Operation what?
Gladio.
No.
Operation Gladio was as soon as the war was ending, the United States recruited all of Mussolini's fascist generals and stuff, and they started to work with the CIA. Okay? Why? Because of the Cold War that was starting. The fascists were anti-communist. So the CIA put in place Mussolini's generals and all these people underground, that if Italy voted for the Communist Party right after the war, they were supposed to overthrow the government. So even the American government during the war did not hate the fascists because they were anti-communist. And Gladio was a secret government in the Italian government. And these people were all the people that the United States was fighting. They was fighting the fascists, but they actually knew they're not really our enemies. The Nazis are our enemies, and next week it's the communists.
Right.
So the fascists were kind of, you're in a situation like
Kind of in the middle.
right in the middle. But that is part of history. That is part of history. When people, they said that Italy was on the wrong side. Yeah, well, they ended up being on, that's a whole different topic to begin with, because you could go through a lot of different things, and then, you gotta understand it. But it is important because, then we ended up looking like the enemies, and which I don't believe we really were the enemies. We loved American things.
No, my mother used to tell us stories of during the war, that how when they saw the American soldiers, they would feed them, and they will give them someplace to stay, and of course kept them safe from the German soldiers, because they never saw the Americans as the enemy. It was the Germans that were.
They hated the Germans.
And my father, who was in the service at the time, when Mussolini changed sides and joined the Nazis, he woke up in the middle of the night, took his rifle, took his shoes, and went from wherever he was stationed in Lazio, all the way to Sorbo, all the way to Calabria.
Oh,
Wow.
oh, wow.
That's a long
Walk.
way to go.
Only in the nighttime he could walk, because he could not be seen. And when he arrived, I don't know if you ever been to Calabria, but all the towns are mountains,
Yeah.
outside of the mountains and the roads. Somebody was looking out their window that morning and spotted my father like 2 miles away on the road and said, he started screaming, "Party this back, party this back," and the whole town went out, like, "What are you doing back?" He goes, "Oh, I'm not gonna fight this war," he goes, "I wanna be home."
I have a friend of mine whose father walked from Russia to Sicily. He told me the story, the father, it was incredible if you heard the story, walking. I mean, if I had to walk home, I'd die, And he explained this story. Too bad, this gentleman passed away years ago, but they actually made a movie, and it's called Italiani per la gente, about this Italian experience in Russia.
Yeah, I heard
It was
about
a
that.
great movie, okay? And then I heard it from this guy, so in 2019, a friend of mine's father, died in Russia, and they never found him, okay? So every year when we do the Festa della Repubblica, I try to honor somebody, And I asked this lady, Rosa, I go, "Rosa, I'd like to do something." Because I know what happened is this lady's father, who died in Russia, he never came back. They never knew what happened. So his great-grandson went to the army and became, it's a career, he's in the Italian army. So being that he's a career soldier, whatever, he looked up all these records. And finally, they found records of where this guy died. And they found letters, okay? I mean, it was very moving. Now the lady, that's her father. I knew her from, it was Teresa. It was Rosa Rappa's father.
Oh, okay.
Okay? She never got to know him. She was 2 years old when he went, whatever. So we honored this man at the Festa della Repubblica.
Nice.
And we had them read the letter that they found, and in the letter it was really moving because he was writing to his wife, saying, how's a little baby? Does she walk yet? Which is my friend, and then and in the end he goes, I'm gonna have to start writing because my hands are frozen. And then you never heard from, it's so touching,
Yeah.
like whatever. If you watch the movie, it's just like that. And we honored this man at the Festa della Repubblica in
Right.
2019. And the best thing that anybody could have ever done to me is she came up to me, she goes, today, you closed the chapter in my father's life. Because he never had a mass, he never had this, I'm like, you know what, there's no better compliment than that, And so at the Festa della Repubblica, that's what we do. We try to honor whoever we could,
Yeah.
We don't want no money, it's all,
Yeah.
okay? So those are the things that I enjoy, and compliments like that, you can't even pay for those type of compliments.
Carlo, what about your near future plans and events that you're looking at for the next year?
If I had money, I'd have the Vatican brought here, but I'm got money. Everything takes money, and a lot of things could be done, but everybody's got to work together. If people think that one person could do everything, they're wrong. What I do is, and what I've done, is whatever I could do, wherever I could reach. Okay, for example. On Taylor Street. It was my own neighborhood. I love every Italian neighborhood, Bridgeport, Grand Avenue. I go to all those places, everywhere, okay? On Harlem Avenue, all my friends used to live there. So all the Little Italies are great, and we have to preserve them. So on Taylor Street, what happened? When I saw, this is being taken away, that's being taken away, I'm like, what the hell are we gonna do? There's not even a flag here or anything. So me and Phil, we decided we made this mural. We had painted that mural on Taylor Street, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It cost us about $3,000. We had to get people to donate the money.
Yeah.
But, in August, I'm looking at a wall and I tell Phil, what do you think about this? He said, that's a good idea. So between August to October, we planned it, we collected the funds, and we had it done. We had it done. Not talk, we had it done.
Yeah.
Now, what is it? We said, what did you do? Well, it's something that whenever you pass by there, you're gonna see this
Yes.
mural of the Italian immigration, okay?
Yeah, Italy and America.
It's not the arc,
Meeting
the
here,
triumphal
yeah.
arc on Taylor Street, but I can't build that, this I could do, so I've always tried to add little things, if it's gonna cost, if it's things that I could afford, that I know that I could afford, I could raise the money. I don't think of these, whenever people go like, what are we gonna do to, I think we should build an arch. Okay, the money? It aggravates the living hell out of me, okay? Because suggestions are like, oh, I never thought of an arch. Wow, I'm glad you're here, but will you pay for it? Because I know that whenever everybody talks and you go like, would you like to make a donation? Everything is quiet then.
What about Festa della Repubblica this year? Do you have any special plans?
Just however we've been doing it, we gotta think of who I would like to honor. I had an idea of who it was, I forgot it right now, but that's the most important. And if we could add more things with the Festa della Repubblica, I would. But everything that I do for the Festa della Repubblica, I do it through that ad book at $100 ads. And that's how I pay for all the stuff. Some food we get
And with
donated.
the ad book, too.
With the ad book, that's the only thing that pays it off, and a lot of times I put money out of my pocket, but, what are you
What
gonna
about
do?
the reopening of Pompeii, the church?
That's right, yeah, I'm fine.
It's rescheduled.
It's rescheduled, it was supposed to open up,
May, it's gonna be the end of May.
The end of
I was
May.
at church last week.
yeah, so this year, the Festa della Repubblica is May 31st, which is the last, it's the closest Sunday to June 2nd, it's only 3 days prior.
Yeah.
So that I already got the date for, is 31st.
Okay.
And everybody is welcome. I've, on the poster, years ago, Frank goes, Carlo, why don't you put Italian unity there out there? And I'm like, yeah, because that's the day we're all united. Okay? We're not Calabrese, we're not Sicily, we're all Italian, from up to, man, we put that on there, I thought it was great. And people go like, that's not the Italian Unity Day, it's March 31st. I'm like, oh my God, are you gonna come or not? If you're not, please don't give me a lesson. Okay, you know what I mean? I
We
know.
can't celebrate all the Italian.
Yeah, I know, March of 1861 is when the Italian got united. And I'm like, I'm not talking about unity of the regions, I'm talking about the Italians here to
Yeah, getting
unite,
together.
you know? But you know what? I'm still keeping it on there, Frank, you know, because I think that's what the most important thing is. And I don't know, like last year, we had a Sicilian party, Sicilian block party. It was called Sapore Sicily. Sapore Sicily with our, we used to do a dinner dance years ago. And it's like, you know, we get dinner danced out in our community. I mean, it's to the point where I dream dinner dances, you know? I put on the suits just to go to sleep because I figure I gotta go to dinner dance, you know? So we were talking last year, well, what could we do different to get the people involved? So I'm like, you know, I was just in Italy a couple of months ago, or the year before, and I went to a place called Uccilia in Palermo. It's all street vendors.
Street foods, yeah.
I go, why don't we do something like that outside, you know? Outside, like have the Sicilian vendors, and it's Sapore Sicily, it's gonna be foods from Sicily, you know? So I finally, me and a couple other people, we finally got them to agree to it, and we did it last year on
Was it Harlem and Addison?
North, right on Nordica.
It's very nice, it's very nice.
North, and I got some singers from Sicily to come here and whatever, you know, everything. And it was very successful. And there was a lot more younger people, you know. The thing is, that when we do something like that, we're not making money. We're gambling. We're using the money we have to cover the expenses because the vendors, they make the money, you know. So it's kind of hard to do that. If we would make money, then it'd be easy. So this year, we're still trying to figure out what we're gonna do. No, you know why? Because everything I do is for a reason. Not to anything, because there's many things we could do here. I wanted it inside the city of Chicago, on a side street, like they used to do.
Just like they do in Italy and like they
Yeah.
used to do in the
Okay, because
beginning.
people are telling me over there, oh, there's the park over here. I don't want it in the park. I want it on the street. I want confusione.
Right,
okay?
right, like we used to.
That's why they call them street festivals.
Yeah, okay? When you start diluting it, it loses, I wanted the flavor, you know? The flavor wasn't tight street, you're hitting elbows with everybody,
Yeah.
you see the smoke, the this, I mean, that's why I believe in certain things. It's like the Festa della Repubblica, I want it there for a reason, you know? You could do it anywhere else, but it has to have the flavor, it has to be a reason and, you know, the history and everything, you know, so.
I want to say something that is not so, sorry for my English. I can speak Italian better if you understand. Can speak Italian? Parlando della Festa della Repubblica, io sono nata nel 46 a novembre e mia madre mi diceva sempre che quando c'erano state le elezioni le erano andate a prendere con la macchina, con i camion, perché erano in maggio, la guerra era finita da poco. Io dicevo, ma come mai sono andate a prendere le persone, le donne con la macchina? E mio fratello mi spiegò che era la prima volta in Italia che le donne votavano, quindi le hanno prese. E ho detto, ma che votazioni erano? Ha detto, se volevamo la Repubblica o la monarchia. Ho detto, mamma, tu che volevi? Lei fa la monarchia. E dico, ma davvero? Dice, ma certo. Dice, certissimo, io e tanta altra gente, perché penso che il voto sia stato, non lo so, non ne ho idea. E volevo dire questo perché sono rimasta un po' scioccata dall'idea che le donne italiane hanno votato per la prima volta nel maggio del 46.
Sì.
E per loro era una cosa importante, quindi logicamente hanno deciso di far votare anche l'altra metà della popolazione, che siamo noi, per poter avere più voti. E l'altra cosa che volevo dire è che in effetti quando si parla della guerra la gente, italiani, non sa niente.
No.
Dicono le sciocchezze più grandi, me li sto a sentire. Io qui ero insegnante in Italia, io qui ho un ristorante. Quando parlo con le persone spiego le cose, quando mi dicono qualche cosa spiego le cose o nella geografia o nella storia, perché la storia non la conoscono, soprattutto la seconda guerra mondiale ma neanche io, perché anche nella scuola italiana, quando ho fatto il liceo, me l'hanno insegnata, è stata un po' svicolata, così. Non hanno mai spiegato. Poi hanno fatto le trasmissioni in televisione, che poi si sono potute vedere sul computer, e lì veramente sono state trasmissioni che ti parlavano, ma senza essere di nessuna delle due parti. E quindi tu capivi che cosa era successo. Sempre io, devo dire, mia madre diceva, quando c'erano i tedeschi erano educati, mi hanno regalato il pane, che io avevo tanti bambini, a Roma noi vivevamo, al centro di Roma vicino Piazza Venezia, che io avevo tanti bambini, ma quando sono arrivati gli americani le donne non potevano uscire di casa. Io dicevo, ma perché? Ma com'è? Poi ho capito, adesso ho 80 anni, sì, mia madre parla di quando i tedeschi erano alleati, quindi erano alleati, non stavano in Italia, non c'erano in Italia, ma nel momento in cui il 23 luglio è stato preso Mussolini, messo in un'ambulanza, se no, perché era pure amato oltretutto, e portato sul monte dove non lo potevano prendere nessuno, in Abruzzo.
Il Gran Sasso.
Esatto, a quel punto avevano firmato già l'accordo con gli americani, a quel punto i tedeschi sono scesi giù, ed era il 43, e hanno fatto le razzie, le cattiverie, sono andati nel quartiere ebraico come invasori, non più come alleati. Ma la gente, tutto questo, capisce la seconda guerra mondiale a sprazzi. Non è così?
No, è proprio così.
Non è così.
Questo è un altro
Quando mia
argomento.
madre mi diceva, bravi tedeschi, ma come i tedeschi? Io sono cresciuta che nella scuola delle suore cantavamo Bella Ciao, ma senza sapere che era una canzone politica, però era una bella marcetta, leggita. E non riusciva a capire come lei poteva dire che i tedeschi erano stati gentili. Ma come? Ma dove? No? E
La
quindi
cosa è, anche per me, perché io sentivo delle storie, chi parlava male del Mussolini e chi lo amava. Nessuno fa, ma è buono o è male questo? E io così
Ma
magari...
era buono fino a che si è messo insieme con...
no, ma le donne che allora di
sì.
politica non si sapeva
Non
niente,
si sapeva niente,
solo
hai
gli
ragione.
intellettuali, il gruppo delle persone pensanti, benestanti, si riunivano insieme e volevano un vero socialismo, perché lui si presentava come socialista, più comunista, più sociale, ma di nascosto.
Okay, this is an English language historical interpretation of the World War II in Italy. When Italy experienced in World War II a defeat
Yeah.
as a nation, an invasion from the south,
Yes.
an invasion from the north,
Yes.
and toward the end, something of a civil war between the people who remained as to who was going to run Italy. And it wasn't just a war that they lost. They got invaded by both sides, and well, most notably the Germans, who were really very harsh. That's a compliment when you're talking about the Germans. Anyhow, it was the biggest thing. It was the biggest thing in American history, but it was the really biggest thing in Italian history and European history. World War II changed everything.
Yes.
That's the name of the article that I have in one of the journals.
But I made one joke about, because there was always jokes. Somebody said one time, they asked Mussolini when the war was going bad, they go like, Luce, che cosa sta succedendo? And he's like, you know what? God gave Michelangelo marble to work with. He gave me mud. For the Italian people, like mud, because at least that guy was working with marble, So these are all these different jokes, but as you was saying about the monarchy, it's funny because there was the referendum on, if you wanted a republic or a monarchy, and the North always thinks that they're like, you guys aren't even Italian, okay?
Right.
We're the South, right, Michelangelo?
Yeah.
Right? We're not even Italian. But the thing is that Southern Italy, we voted overwhelmingly for the monarchy. Okay, it was the North that wanted to become a republic. But, in the South, it was mostly for the monarchy. And I kind of like the monarchy just for the flag. Michelangelo. Michelangelo is also part of COMITES. You guys know Michelangelo, and he's a professor. Would you like to add anything to it?
Oh, no, I'm here to listen. I so much appreciate you. And you were the first person, the first true Italian person I met when I moved to Chicago. You and then Frank. So I'm just grateful and happy to be here because it's a pleasure to listen to you, Carlo.
Thank you. And it's like a friend of mine, a good friend of mine from Texas, who's actually the president of all the, put it this way, he's the president of all the COMITES. He represents this room. He called me, he goes, Carlo, there's a young gentleman I'd like you to meet. He's in Chicago, he works at the University of Illinois, and this and that. He goes, get to know this gentleman, maybe, he's our way of thinking. Okay, so I call him, and I go, Vincenzo asked me to call you, where you at, if we could meet. He goes, well, I don't know if you know. He goes, I live on Flournoy Street and this. I'm like, he goes, where it's at? I go, I grew up next street. I go, yeah, I know, I go to Pompeii. He goes, yeah. He goes, I go, you know what, next week I'll be at Pompeii Church. If we want, we could meet, And I'm like, I go to him, I go, how will I know you? He goes, I'm really, really tall. He goes, how will I know you? I said, look at the shortest guy. Michelangelo, è la verità. I walked into church, I saw him, he saw me.
Impossible to miss each other.
With me, it was so important with Michelangelo, is because Michelangelo is of the third wave of immigration here. They didn't come here because they had family or relatives. They came here for work because they're gets a job at, and that's the new immigration. Okay, and I've been trying to get close with him and others and stuff because I feel like they don't have family like we had here. Okay, so we got to show them that we're their family, we're their extended family, that there's us over here, that we still speak the language, we're Italian cultures and all that. So I always wanted to get this new generation involved in our community, And everything is hard. Everything is hard because they got different ways, the way we, with the first immigrations, were a little different, then this other immigration are different than we are, but it's good that they will all come together. And as a matter of fact, we did get them all together last year when we had the Sicilian Street Fest. I called up these Italians that live all downtown, young people. I go, please join us. We'd like to have, and they did come, and they really enjoyed it. So,
Any last ideas or words you wanna say?
I didn't think I had enough to say, and all of a sudden I talked too much.
Not my decision. Sorry.
Whatever we, at times, whatever we organize or.
When's our first co-sponsored cultural event at this location?
Do you wanna mention the cyclone?
Yeah, I think we mentioned this already in the
I'll take
beginning,
it.
but, this is, like I said, very important, again.
Okay.
I'm going.
Are you gonna post that on Facebook so we can
Yeah.
share it?
Oh, yeah.
We'll share it on
you put it
Facebook,
on
on our page, my page,
Yeah,
everybody's
the council
page.
general will be there.
That's the same day.
Now,
Nancy's having her
it's all like my council, because I want the council general to be there. He represents us, and we hopefully we have a good outcome. And, I want the council general to be there to count the money. Alright? Count the money,
He
go,
should be
this is what
there.
you made, this is what you're giving. That's it. We're having, all the food that is gonna be donated. Because we told anybody who wants to help us, you gotta donate it, because we don't wanna we gotta take $10 off for the bread, 15 for the sausage.
Yeah.
Oh no, all these, then we'll mention who they are. They all donated everything, and our club is gonna donate the other stuff, so whatever we collect goes directly to that.
Just Sicily.
Not
Yeah.
Southern Italy, because even Calabria was hit and
Yeah.
stuff, so.
So, I'm gonna bring up something that probably people don't wanna hear about. When you raise this money, how is this money gonna get to the people that need it?
Well, that's why between now and then, with the council general, we're gonna figure that out, because I don't know. what
Because
percentage.
when the earthquake happened in Amatrice,
Mhm.
the money is probably still sitting, who knows where, or in whose pockets, but the people never saw a penny of it.
Well, yeah, no, exactly, but that's why the council general will be there,
Politicians.
because between now and then, first we gotta start organizing, because, you know, I hate to talk, and we never do anything, okay? So everybody was asking me the same question, where's it gonna go? Let's get this started first, because, you know, you can't do it in one day. Then I called the council general. Who do I send this? Joe Bajarolo down the street? Who do I give this money to? You know what I mean? Right? So, and he was telling me, there's that. So I got a few people. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you guys know Maria Grazia Buscinota, the actress.
Okay.
Okay? Maria Grazia Buscinota. She's the Italian actress. She got a hold of me.
Okay.
Okay? Me and these other clubs, two asses to do this. That's how we started about 2 months ago. You know? So I got people that are working on, and I told them, I don't know, the council general, the president, the CGIE, or whatever, let me know where they need this money most. And that's where we'll send it. You know, so that by the time the event comes, we're gonna know where it's going. But the most important thing is that people know that everything is going directly to that. You know? And if I could say one last thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember in 1968, there was the earthquake in Sicily, and it was right around my hometown. It was by the Baelish area, western Sicily. And I was 12 years old, and how different things were, you know? Because you couldn't call directly to somebody in Italy. First of all, they didn't even have a phone. You know? You know, so you relied on the Italian program. At the time, Gino Nuccio, Francone, I don't know if all these people remember, no?
Yeah.
That's where, well, that's where we used to get all the information, you know? And I remember all the fundraisers for the people in Sicily, and they raised like, I was from your book.
Angelo Liberati is.
Yeah, but this was in '68, I don't think I was still here, but anyway, I was so proud of what they were doing at that time, you know? And they raised like $500,000 back then, if not more, okay? Back then, not now, you know, right? So, you know, if you think about it, you know, that's what a community is all about, you know? That's when you see if a community is united when something goes wrong. So, if we're gonna be doing maybe more stuff like this, being that we have the hall to do it, and we're gonna have to pay a banquet hall at my club here, you know? We're gonna be doing more towards the end of the year with Frank and others that wanna get involved, so please just support everybody, not just us or whatever.
What's the name of your Facebook page?
It's my name.
Just your name?
Carlo Vaniglia.
Yeah, Vaniglia, like the ice cream.
Yeah, vanilla.
Mio nonno pasticcere. Mio nonno era pasticcere. Ah, capisci? Mio nonno era pasticcere.
Era pasticcere. Forse era un soprannome allora. Probabilmente non era il cognome, ma un soprannome.
Beh,
Il mio cognome della ragazza è Pietro Bono.
Pietro Bono.
It means someone was Peter Good.
Like Ivan the Terrible.
Listen to all of you. I was thinking in my mind, I'm quite new in. What would be better in a certain way? The Sicilians want to be together. The people from Tuscany, oh, when I arrive, oh, they are from Tuscany. Say, oh, they come from Lucca. I say, what? So what? You know, very special. I don't know if it could be better for the life. Because the difficult thing now is go on with the association, because the young people don't come, they have a computer. Only 33 years ago when I came here, there were computers so there was not a small phone. To call Italy, I have to have a little card of ATM to pay less. So now it's completely different. Everything's different. It to be a big association of Italian, or go on with a small association. This is what I'm asking to myself, ask to you guys. The people from
It's true. I came in 71, a little bit after Carlo. I was 11 years old. I was the youngest in the family. I had 3 older brothers. They all, you know, they would go out. I was the girl. I was not allowed out of the house. But they used to go with the other neighborhood guys to the dances that they used to have at a place called Giuseppe's in Norwich or up north someplace. It's almost basement. Whatever it was. And they used to, without a doubt, every weekend, they had a story to tell because they would go, Calabrese, Sicilians, they would go up there together because Bridgeport was half Calabrese and half Sicilian. And Taylor Street was probably more Sicilian. Napoletano, okay. And they would go and they would find people from all the regions, and there was a fight was always started because, oh no, tu sei terrone, gay, you don't count, you say terrone. And there was the stories from back in the 70s and 80s.
Well, I could tell you, you know, when we lived on Taylor Street and we had to go visit somebody on Grand Avenue, I'm like, I felt like a fish out of water. They were Italians, you know. They were Italians. You go to Bridgeport, the same. Like I don't even know these people. You know, and they were Italians. But you know what? There was so many of us back then. We could discriminate against each other. Yeah. Now we can't. You know, we had enough people we could hate that didn't affect us. You know what I mean? Because we're, you know, the culture was still so strong with us and everything.
Yeah.
Carlo, thank you so much. That was.
Tanti grazie.
Well, we'll stick around for a while and network and get to know each other and learn some new people. If we don't have your email address, sign our booklet and it's on the table outside.
Very interesting, Carlo. Okay, we'll send it to you.